Hi, this is Jazze, and my guest today is Dr. Frederick Haynes, the third senior pastor of Friendship West Baptist Church. I want to thank you so much for doing this interview with me because I understand you're extremely busy with everything that's going on, and you were actually trending on Twitter yesterday in Dallas.
Yeah, first time in my life.
Yes. And so a lot of people want to know exactly what happened yesterday. So if you could just walk us through the events of yesterday at the church.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. And Jazzy, as always, you are just a gift to our community. So I thank you for, giving us an opportunity to share with the community because you have become a vehicle for our voice as well as for our vision. So I salute you and I appreciate you. So let me just say, to give you the full context, I was supposed to be on vacation. So yesterday, I did not go to our broadcast of our streaming service, which I normally do every single Sunday. So I am watching our service online. And then after service ended, I am in a PhD program. So I'm taking a test that's due that night, a Greek test. And so all of a sudden my phone is blowing up and members of my church are alarmed. They are upset because they were driving by the facility there on Wheatland Road. And, I'll quote a text directly. A member says, "Pastor, why are white supremacists taking over our campus?" And then 30 seconds later, "Pastor, racists are taking over our church." And I'm like, what's going on here? And so
Right.
I immediately pick up the phone to call them because I'm trying to make sure this is not some hoax. And so I immediately called our security, Officer Mitchell, and Officer Mitchell told me, said, "I knew you were about to call because yes, that's what's going on." And so I immediately got up to go to church, and on my way, the chief of police called Renee Hall, and Renee Hall said, "I hear there are racists who are on your property. I'm sending police right now." I said, "They better beat me because I'm not in the mood." And so I rushed to get to the church. And fortunately, the police officers did beat me there
Okay.
because the traffic was just crazy because you're
Yes.
talking about 1,000+ vehicles,
Mm.
and you're talking about muscle cars and Jeeps and all of these vehicles that had packed out our parking lot.
Mhm.
And now our officers were getting them off of our parking lot. And so I get there, and I'll just be honest with you, I was enraged, and
Okay.
came to find out that now I'll give you some 2020 hindsight as to what had gone down.
Mm-hmm.
Last Wednesday, the 29th, uh, someone came to the church while, again, the church is not open for normal activities. And so this person came through the school and, sat waiting while one of our staff members was ministering to a family,
Okay.
a bereaved family that was planning a funeral. And he waits, and my pastor said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "I need to use your facility." He said, "Well, I don't have that authority. That you have to go through our building and grounds process." And so what he did, he got the information and reached out to our building and grounds person. He told him, this is what he told him. And I
Okay.
need to say this, this is a brother, okay? This is a brother.
Okay.
I just want to let that sink in before I let the rest of the story unfold. And so the brother says that he is a part of a Dodge Ram truck club,
Mm-hmm.
and they have about 30 people, and that Sunday they want to, on their way somewhere, wherever they're
Mm-hmm.
going, use our parking lot as a pit stop.
Okay.
Uh, and so, my man said, "Okay, you can do that." But again, 30, 30
Right.
trucks, 30
Right.
Dodge Ram trucks were expected.
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up, of course, with over 1,000 and some 3,000 people
Mm-hmm.
when you count who was in these vehicles. So
Mm-hmm.
they this person asked for 30. What we did not know, and what we came to later find out, is that this is something that had been planned for quite some time. and we did some investigation.
Okay.
And 3 weeks ago, Jazze, 3 weeks ago, they have in their plans Friendship West as a stop, as their stop. Friendship West is listed 3 weeks ago, but don't forget, they came to us last week, last Wednesday,
Right.
asking for this spot, and they're using subversive language, talking about they're going to go on a cruise, and we'll give you more details as the cruise plans unfold. And again, Friendship West is on
Right.
their map, and it's
Right.
highlighted.
So
And
they had this
so
planned already.
they had this planned already.
Right.
And so we find that out. And so the bottom line is that yesterday there was a group that came to intimidate us. This group that came to intimidate us was comprised of those who were downright racist and white supremacists. And so you have the evidence, and we have video of flags that were, waving the whole Trump. They're supporting Trump. So you know what that means. And then we have the Confederate flags. And so when I get there, the brother says to me that they had been given permission. I said, by who? He tells me who. And I do my research, find out again what I've just shared with you. And I share with him that, so you are the face of a racist Klan rally. That's what you're saying, and you cool with that. And so he says, no, man, I'm from Chicago, and I don't roll with no Confederate flag. I said, so how did it get here? And how did the Trump flag get here? And so as far as I'm concerned, they've used the spook who sat by the door in order to violate sacred space of a Black church in Oak Cliff, which is our hood. And I said, that's real problematic for me. And so, he starts to backpedal and Jazze, to show you how he ain't all wrapped tight, he starts talking about, Pastor, you need to know that this whole, and please don't miss this, without any kind of transition statement, he says, you need to know the numbers for COVID-19 are inflated. Now, COVID-19 ain't got nothing to do with what's going on right now. Not a thing. And so I'm saying, okay, so I'm talking to somebody crazy right now because you're talking about inflated numbers and please forgive me for this language, you ticking me off because I have had to bury too many Black people with COVID-19 because we all know that COVID-19 is disproportionately impacted Black and brown communities. And you're going to have the nerve to say to a Black preacher who has buried Black bodies and who knows people who have died from this, you're going to say that to me as a distraction tactic and not deal with the fact that you got a Klan rally violating the sacred space of this Black church. Now, I got to be fair. Jazze, I have received a number of apologies from persons, white people.
That's what I was going to say. They
didn't know. They did not know. They basically have shared with me. Some want to meet with me. I'm gonna meet with them. They said, "Hey, we thought it was this, and it ended up being that." And when we saw your Black Lives Matter sign on your church, there's no way we would have come there if we had known this. And so we feel misled by the persons who organized this. And so I want to say that, number one, you had some bad intentioned people, and I got evidence on that. Let me just share this. One of my good colleagues, Pastor Denny Davis, he texted me about 1 o'clock this morning, and he texted me a screenshot of a text from a member who lives in South Lake. And the member said that their kids were supposed to go to a drive-by party with some neighbors who are white. And the neighbors said they had to postpone the party because they were going to shut down Friendship West. Is right. So here you have some people who basically, that was their intent. Their evil intention was to come intimidate, violate sacred space. They're coming to shut down Friendship West. But again, I hasten to say you had another crowd. They were there because their whole thing was, this is a part of our club. And so the clubs are getting together and they did not know what was going on. So
it was two things going on at the same time.
Two things going on at the same time.
Initially, they were saying that it was Blue Lives Matter. were the police even involved with this? Because DPD is saying that they didn't approve this Blue
DP
Lives
did not
Matter
include.
rally.
I've spoken to Chief Hall on a number of occasions, and Chief Hall has said to me, she said, number one, they did ask for an escort. She
Okay.
said they don't do escorts because they've lost 2 officers to escort. So they said they
Okay.
rejected the escort. Number
Mm-hmm.
2, they asked for a permit, and they
Mm-hmm.
did not get the permit. And so you're
Mm.
talking basically about they're doing something that DPD did not even sanction. And so
Exactly.
they may call it in the name of supporting Blue Lives, but what they
Mm-hmm.
did was, and it was what was, as far as I'm concerned, it was anything but supporting Blue Lives. They set up a situation that was, you know, there was a recipe for hostility.
Exactly.
The ones.
So luckily, when you pulled up, the police were already there, so there was no issue in regards to getting them off of your property.
No, I mean they yeah, they got up off of there,
I know you came
and
ready, but
yeah, and you know, we did help them. We did help them to make sure that they knew they were not, you know,
yeah,
welcome. And you
yeah.
know, I
Reports were
apologize because I
saying
used some.
Senator West came through along with John Wiley Price. A lot of people came, and the community was ready to just come out and support Friendship
No, they
West.
did.
So that's
They
why
showed,
it's
the
so
community
important.
showed up. They
Yeah.
were there.
hmm And
Yeah,
that's why it's so important to get the word out that, hey, this has been handled. You're still doing your investigation, but a lot of people in the community want to know what can they do to help you, of course, peacefully, but what can they do to just help continue the message? Because your church, it is very coincidental that the church that has a big Black Lives Matter sign when you driving by is the church that you decide to stop and have an event like this. It's so inappropriate. And so what can the community do to help your message going forward?
And I really appreciate that. There are a few things. Number one, I think it's very important, and you and I have been on this in
Yes.
partnership. It's
Yes.
very important that we recognize the only way we make change is by voting.
hmm
And so I'm hoping everyone who is listening, everyone in our community is registered to vote, and that you go ahead and come October, don't even wait till November.
I know that's
Go ahead and vote. Friendship West will be a voting site.
okay.
And I want you to come on to the church. We're going to make sure it is so disinfected and ready for you
hmm
that you ain't going to have no problem whatsoever voting. So that's the first thing. The second thing, and this is where the rubber meets the road, and that is we have received a number of apologies from those who were a part of this yesterday.
hmm
And my thing is, and you know this, okay, you can apologize. Apology without action is empty.
Yeah.
So what kind of action are we asking for them to do? And I'm asking for the community to join us in this fashion. And that is right now in Dallas, for example,
hmm
we're getting ready to deal with the budget.
Okay.
And so we are calling for city council, we're calling for the city manager in the name of defunding the police
hmm
to now invest in the community. And this is being done around the country. And so basically what I'm asking the community to do right now is, you know, your city council person. I need you to call them. I need you to get ready to show up however they decide to do their city council meetings, and let them know we are calling for a people's budget. And what we're going to be doing, and you know, I'm coming asking you for help, Jazze, with
Yes.
this. We're
Yes.
going to be setting up town hall meetings
Okay.
so we can educate the community about this whole process, to
Okay.
make sure the community is a part of the budgeting that will go down, so that when the budget comes out, it looks like Black Lives Matter.
Yes, because a lot of people are confused on the term defund the police. They feel as
Right.
though if you defund the police, we won't have anybody to stop the murderers and rapists and different things like that. But
Not
that's
true at
not
all.
necessarily, the term is used wrong. And so it's not necessarily defunding the police. It's just taking some of the excessive money that has been given to the police department and taking that money and reinvesting it back into the community. So that's the
Right.
discussion that needs to be had.
Right. And one such example is, and we forget this, but Chief David Brown, who was lifted up, especially during the tragedy of the
Hmm.
police officers who got murdered, Chief Brown said, we ask police to do too much. He
Okay.
said it then, and it's right now. One of the things that we're saying that we're asking for, why do police officers have to respond to unarmed mental health
Mental health.
situations?
Yeah.
That's a recipe for disaster. If,
Hmm.
especially if you show up on our side of town and you have some tendencies that are redneckish, and you already have some fears for the Black community,
Hmm.
and you are sent to a community that you're scared of, and then it's a mental health situation that you're not even trained for. That makes no sense. That's a recipe for disaster.
Right.
And so we're saying, instead of sending police officers, why don't we send mental health professionals?
Hmm.
That's what we're talking about. That's one aspect of defunding. We're talking about demilitarizing the police. We're saying we don't need police with the weapons of warfare
Right.
that you use in Iraq
Hmm.
to use on the streets of Oak Cliff. I mean, that's a whole lot of money that is being spent to
Hmm.
basically declare war on us. And again, that's crazy. We're also saying that there should be times when there should be literally a policy as it relates to when you use lethal force. You should not use lethal force when someone is running away from you and they're unarmed. You should not use lethal force when a car is pulling away from you, such as what happened with Jordan Edwards. We're simply saying that when we talk about defund the police, it's to get the attention of the people, and to also say we are redistributing resources from the police, from the police department, and we're reimagining what public safety ought to look like. And public safety does not mean that you have beat me over the head. And let me just give you this last piece, because this last piece is so important, and that is, there is in this country something known as the Brady List. The
Hmm.
Brady List, and this is mind-blowing, it trips me out. The Brady List is comprised of police officers who the DA will not call during a trial because their track record reflects a character
Hmm.
that lies, a character that has done some stuff, so that if they get on the stand, their character, like the case during O.J. Simpson when they called Mark Furman. Mark Furman's testimony was torn up because of his character, which
Hmm.
he was a racist and a liar. And
Right.
so now you have this Brady situation that says, listen, you're a police officer, and if your character is whack, then you will not get called to testify. So my thing is, if your character is of
You shouldn't
such
even be.
that you can't testify in a court of law, what you doing being a police officer?
Shouldn't even be a
You need to
police
be
officer.
fired right now.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yes. That herd immunity, all of the stuff that they have,
yeah,
all of that needs to be relooked at and relitigated, and the laws need to be changed. And so, as you stated so many times before, and it's a passion of mine as far as getting people registered to vote
oh
and
yeah,
then getting them out to vote, because that's how you change not just the presidential election, but also the local
my
election.
God.
And the local officials are the ones who are making these decisions about, kids going back to school and just different things that affect you directly. And one of the herd immunities, if you get the proper DA and the proper people in those positions, maybe they can try to change those type of laws. But it definitely starts with, number one, getting you registered to vote, and then going to vote, and then showing up, like you said, when at these council meetings, when they're having these discussions about issues. It's all about education. And
Yeah.
so I hate that this whole situation happened to you in your church, but when I heard about it, I was like, oh my goodness, I know Pastor Haynes don't play. And so I wasn't the only one who was saying that. I already
Yeah.
knew. And so I'm really glad that, nothing bad happened, and they
Right.
were escorted off the property properly. They did apologize. And so now it's time for us to continue the mobilization that we've been doing with the Black Lives Matter movement. And so those are the things that we need to push for. So I appreciate your voice in the community.
Well, I appreciate you. Again, you give us a mic in which our voices can be heard. And so you are such a gift. I appreciate you and I pray for you. And yeah, I know you prayed for me yesterday
Yeah.
because when Jazz, I ain't gonna lie, I got in my car. I know I broke the law getting to the church. And then once I got to the church, I began to speak in an unknown tongue. And so, you know, you got to pray for your boy. But I just don't play. When it comes to our people, our community,
Yeah.
do not
We
think,
know that.
hey, Oak Cliff is our hood, and you
Okay.
ain't gonna mess with us,
You
okay?
can't come to Oak Cliff with that.
No. Oak Cliff, that's my hood, okay?
Well, thank you again, Pastor, for this conversation. And again, call on me whenever you need me because I'm here.
You are a gift. I appreciate you, and let's get everybody registered to vote, because
Let's go.
November we're gonna change this country.
Yes, let's go.